But you know MJ is incapable of speaking without that competitive spirit coming out. So when he was asked which streak was more impressive to him, James Harden's 30 straight games with at least 30 points, or Russell Westbrook's 10 straight triple-doubles, here was Michael Jordan's response.
Both. They're all both hard, you know, and uniquely, I'm very proud about what both guys have done because they're making their mark for the league, and I think it really helps the growth of the league. Which is harder from a player standpoint. 6 championships, by all means.
I mean,
and that's why he's the GOAT. All of that. I mean, look, obviously, the answer to any argument is 6 championships, right? And will be for a long time. But we've been having this conversation off camera a lot. Tracy, you and I and Kobe had it a little bit before we sat down last week about sort of where stats are right now and whether we're putting too much weight on them, and the fact that stats are, I mean, they're different than they used to be, right?
They are because of the rule changes of today's game. You know, no hand checking. There's a lot in favor for the offensive player, and these guys are so skilled at what they do. You know, you're talking about James Harden, probably the best offensive player, one-on-one player in our game. If you can't touch him or impede his progress, and as far as him taking all these threes and you can't come down in his space, how do you contest a jump shot that he's really good at doing? That's how he gets to the free throw line a lot. These guys takes a lot of shots from the outside. I don't think these guys are capable of doing this in the era that we played in. Or Michael Jordan's era. It's just, it was too tough. It was too tough of defensive purposes, and just the players that they played against was a lot, you know, focused in on trying to shut this guy down, teams trying to shut a guy down. I don't think, you know, guys are capable of putting up these type of numbers.
When I first thought of what they do with the rules, not in my lifetime would another player score 100 points.
And you still don't think that's going to happen?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, Kobe had 81.
I don't know. I was talking to Kobe last night. I actually think in today's game, Kobe probably could score 100 points.
So this is interesting.
I don't think in our lifetime, maybe he could, though. Maybe he could, but I'm just saying now,
so he thinks
nobody.
He would?
I think he could.
Right. So, look, when we were sitting down, we were putting out Harden's 30-point scoring streak, right, which has now reached 30 games. Before this, the only 2 guys in the modern era to ever do it were you and Kobe. You had 14 and Kobe had 16. The fact that it never even got close to 30, where James Harden is now, right, I think maybe speaks to era, because I would certainly, you could have your argument about James Harden and Kobe, but you can't say that James Harden is twice as good as Kobe Bryant. No. So therefore, there has to be some, I mean, for me, the statistical sort of emphasis isn't as much on like, hey, are we comparing this era to this era? I just think we have so many stats now, we have advanced stats, and they're helpful, and they really have given us a better idea of sort of the worth and contributions some people are making on the court. They've opened our eyes to things that people are doing that might not show up in those original maybe 5 or 6 categories of stats, but they still don't show everything.
Well, and
stats don't show all the defensive contributions they don't show the leadership contributions people make. So when we get into the MVP discussion and we get into sort of who's the best player discussion, sometimes I think we over-rely on stats when they tell us a lot more than they used to, but they don't tell us everything.
I look at James Harden's streak, it's very impressive. If you look at his usage rate, it's extremely high. If you look at the amount of three-pointers he takes, it's extremely high. More than I've taken, Kobe's taken, MJ've taken, ever in our careers. I think he's probably like averaging 13 threes. You probably only averaged 4 threes in your career. I averaged probably
attempts.
Yeah, attempts. 5. So I look at him from his perspective. I mean, he should put up these type of numbers if he's taken that many shots. The usage rate he should put up. As far as Russ's numbers, averaging a triple-double. Now, that to me is the hardest. But then if you look at the possessions, the amount of possessions in today's game, if you look at offensive rebounds, you get an offensive rebound, there's 14 seconds on the shot clock, not 24.
Right.
You know, so that,
you speed that up.
You speed, the game is sped up, so it's going to be a lot more.
Because you got to, at that size, you got to get the rebounds. And then you got to make plays. So I think it's hard to compare to see which one is more difficult.
So I was just told, I averaged 4 attempts, you averaged 3 attempts on your threes. Imagine you, career-wise, imagine you taking 13 threes.
13 threes.
Imagine the points that you would average. And you was a guy that got to the free throw line as well.
Right. it'll be different definitely this era.
Would have been very different.
Bunun gibi videolar için videoyu beğenip abone olmayı unutmayın. Görüşmek üzere.